Explainability, also sometimes called explicability, is another important principle. Ethical principles, like explainability, are also promoted by ethical frameworks that target emerging technologies. We'll talk about these frameworks in a later course. Explainability at a high level means that something should be capable of being understood and that its details can be explained. In practice, the concept is more complex than this. It raises several questions. But before we get into them, why is explainability important? Data-driven technologies like AI are extremely complex, even to people who work with them every day. A lot of mathematical calculations go into certain decisions made by AI, as does some degree of randomness. If we can't explain how an AI came to a decision, how can we trust its decision? For example, how does a face recognition system determine emotional status? How can we know that decision is free of bias or some other impediment? To be confident in our technologies, we must understand them. Explainability also facilitates accountability. Accountability helps hold people or things responsible for good or bad behavior. If a system is explainable, it is easier for us to assign praise or blame since we understand some of its inner workings. For example, the data an AI system is based on may be faulty, even if nothing else in the system is. So by knowing the nature of the data, we can hold it accountable. Accountability eventually leads to improvement. We identify the source of the problem and address it. One of the questions raised by explainability is, what must be understood? Usually, when we talk about explainability, we mean technology systems, particularly AI. An AI model itself might need to be explainable. Likewise, an AI application of that model should also be explainable. But it's also the components that go into a technology that must be explained, like the data itself, as we mentioned earlier. AI systems, such as machine learning or deep learning, can sometimes take inputs and then produce outputs, or make decisions, with no decipherable explanation or context. The system makes a decision or takes some action, and we don't necessarily know why or how it arrived at that outcome. The system just does it. That's the black box model of AI. Use cases with a big human impact include autonomous vehicles, aerial navigation and drones, and military applications. Being able to understand the decision-making process is mission critical. As we rely more and more on AI in our everyday lives, we need to be able to understand its thought process and make changes and improvements over time. HBR Analytic Services research report states machine learning techniques that make it possible for human users to understand, appropriately trust, and effectively manage AI. People should also offer some degree of explainability. For example, someone who trains an AI model must be able to explain how they trained it. Or a user of an AI application must be able to explain how they use it. Another question raised by explainability is, who must understand? Like we said, emerging technologies are extremely complex. It may take an AI engineer with many years of academic or professional experience to truly understand what goes into an AI's decision. So, part of the audience for explainability are the experts themselves. But they're not the only ones. Managers and other business decision makers must also have some understanding of the technology. The complex mathematics won't be of use to them, but they still need to understand the basics of how AIs are created, improved, and deployed. Users of AI systems must also understand some aspects of what they're using. They should be able to get a sense of how an AI is using their data. For example, how are my searches being used to tailor results in my social media feed? Explainability is an important principle to uphold, particularly in emerging technologies. It brings a greater degree of confidence to intelligent decisions. It also holds people and things accountable, which can lead to improvements.